now.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Formula Online Racing for round 17 of the inaugural PlayStation 4 Season 1 Championship, live from the Suzuka circuit for the Japanese Grand Prix. We had another debutant winner last week in Louis Welsh, and Josh taking a big step towards the championship. He now has a 21-point lead. But importantly, for Westy and Paulie Orange, the Renault driver is not here tonight, so it is a great chance for both of them to close up that gap at the top of the table. I'm Luke, and alongside me once again is Jess. And Jess, given the form that Josh has been in lately, I think Westy and Paulie Orange will be pretty happy that he's absent tonight.
Yeah, definitely, and especially Paulie Orange, who's had some really poor results as of late. Obviously, the start of the season was pretty good for him, getting 2 wins in Spain and Monaco, but his form dipped a bit in Singapore, but he managed to get some points in Russia as well, which was great to see. And Westy didn't fare any better. He retired from the session in Russia as well. So, yeah, it's going to be a huge pressure off their shoulders, and the gap between Josh and Westy is not a lot. It's about 20 points, roughly. So I think if Westy has a good result tonight, then he can close in by just a few points. So Westy definitely needs this, especially.
Yeah, a win tonight would take Westy to the top of the championship standings, and he hasn't won since France didn't finish last time out in Russia, and that is what allowed Josh to extend that gap. But it was a dominant performance from Louis Welsh in the Red Bull. Powell win fastest lap, never really looked under threat at any point, and Koala put in a good performance as well for Red Bull with a 4th place. That allowed them to jump 3 places in the Constructors' Championships. They're now 39 points behind Renault, who are at the head of the field. And looking at it tonight, doesn't look like Renault actually have any drivers. So as well, another chance for Red Bull, Williams, McLaren, Mercedes, Haas. They're all relatively close still to the yellow and black cars, so could really close the gap down tonight. Last week we were at Russia, tonight we're at Japan, and Japan is always a favourite circuit of the drivers. It is a very challenging, very traditional circuit, and still has the grubble traps, Jess, that can punish you if you run wide.
Yeah, exactly. It's hosted the Japanese Grand Prix in all but 2 years since 1987. It was originally a test circuit, which was constructed in 1962, where it mainly hosted Honda motor cars, and there's also the corners of the figure of 8 layout, which is the S section, also 130R, which a lot of people can get caught up in there as well, and only one DRS straight in this track tonight, so less DRS trains tonight, but they've got to rely mainly on the start-finish straight, because the others, they've just got to rely on giving each other tow, especially 130R as well.
Yeah, you can definitely overtake around there if you are brave enough. On board then with Westy coming through the S's now. You head to the top of the hill for the Dunlop curve. Very easy to put a wheel on the grass there and spin off towards the barrier. You're flat out through here. And then with 2 Degners. The first Degner, you've got to carry as much speed as you dare and brake late for the second one. Don't run wide, going underneath the bridge. That carries the circuit over the top, then heading towards the hairpin. This is another possible overtaking opportunity in the race. I remember Kamui Kobayashi sending it down there a few times on his way to his only ever Formula 1 podium. Here we are now, coming through this long right-hander before the spoon curve. Pretty much a double apex left-hander, clipping it there. You can see Westy just drifting a bit wide. And then again there, you've got to be nice and steady though. Take it nice and smooth to get the best possible run up towards 130R. You can see the grid there for the Suzuka East circuit that is just passed over, and then flat out through 130R. Not as much of a challenge as it used to be now in these modern Formula 1 cars with all the downforce. Heavy braking into the chicane, then flat through the final right-hander, going over that bump, which hopefully won't exist on 2020, and that is a 128.541 for Westy, just ahead of his teammate Cassie G, who is reserving for YBR tonight, and Denge at the moment on provisional first place in this qualifying session, because it will be the top 15 that go through. So 3 drivers will be going out, and we know one of them, I think Deso, has a qualifying ban, so I do think he will not be setting a lap time, even though it says he's on a lap at the moment. And he's just cruising around, so I think he is aware of that fact, maybe just finalising his setup. But Deso should have a qualifying ban tonight, so only 2 drivers will be dropping out in this session, and that's going to make it hard for the Racing Point driver, because as we were saying, it's not the easiest track to overtake on.
It definitely isn't, and I think, to be honest, that qualifying ban has hurted him. But yeah, with a qualifying ban, you are allowed to go out for what is called an installation lap, because otherwise, there's some moments on this game where your setup does not save, unfortunately. So if you just go out for an out lap, it makes sure that your setup is saved. You go into the pits, then you retire, and then that's your basically your qualifying ban served, pretty much. So that is what these guys will have to do, obviously, but it's less pressure for some of the guys which are in the midfield. They don't have to worry too much in Q1, but the focus really is going to be Q2 for most of these guys, because some of them almost just missed out on getting into the top 10 last week, and they don't want to do the same again.
Yeah, Fairham was one of those. He went for the mediums in Q2 and only just managed to finish in 10th position. That could have cost him dearly. He had a fantastic race, getting another podium in the Mercedes. He's really one of the form drivers at the moment. We're on board with VX Vexen making his reserve debut in place of Artiero, who's having a few wheel issues tonight, so he's unable to join us. So first chance we've got to see of this driver. Let's see if he's going to be able to set a competitive lap time. We're fairly happy with that. 128.653, 3 tenths off his teammate. He's looking incredibly close at the top of the order at the moment. Paulie Orange has gone into third place. We do have another reserve making their debut tonight, and that is ILRT Pat in the McLaren. Both McLarens didn't really have a great race last time around.
No, they didn't, and that's going to hurt in the Constructors' Championship. And looking at what McLaren did last time about, Alhan actually still finished in the points, but it was the other McLaren which really took a hit, only 13th place, so not many points scored there, 0 points actually as well. So and looking at the constructors as well, McLaren have dropped to 5th in the standings, 184 points. Even though the constructors from like pretty much second downwards is pretty close, any little mistake can cost you to go further down the order. And obviously with the form that Red Bull is showing, Red Bull could extend a little bit with Renault obviously not having their main drivers tonight. And speaking of the McLaren, Pat has just gone faster at the moment with a 128.2.
Yeah, given the record we've got here of reserves winning races, we shouldn't be surprised that a reserve making his debut goes onto the fastest in this session with 10.5 minutes remaining. On board with Loney now coming through the first few corners. Yeah, so you can see there Loney in 18th at the moment. Quick reminder that 2 cars will be dropping out, plus Desso, who has a full qualifying ban for some unreported absences, so he will be starting from the back of the grid. Toro Rosso, Loney, he can be pretty quick. Hibilu, we've spoke about him a lot, Hibilu. He's come so close lately on getting points for the first time, as Ferhan has smashed everyone else out the park with that for now, 127.568.
Yeah, obviously the times won't be as fast as Q3, obviously, only by like a few tenths per second or even more. So maybe in Q3 we could expect to see 126s. But speaking about Hibili, I think we always seem to jinx him, saying, oh, he's so close to getting points, and then he just doesn't and misses out by a few positions or a few tenths or something like that. But he's hungry for it. You know that this could be a race where we could score some points if a few people retire, but he just wants to do it on merit as well, and he's going to benefit a lot from people's mistakes.
Yeah, definitely. His teammate's gone up into second for now, but still a whopping half a second off of Ferhan. What could help Hibilu get his first points of the season is a sprinkling of rain, because Suzuka is definitely not a circuit that is a stranger to some poor weather. And given the fact of how unforgiving the runoff areas are here, you can see traditional gravel traps still a big part. Mistakes are a lot more costly. Wouldn't be surprising if we see a safety car or two tonight.
Yeah, safety cars are common around this track. I've experienced quite a few in my time around here, and obviously the wet weather is quite common now as well. 9 times out of 10 you see rain in a Suzuka race, but obviously we haven't have a clue about what the weather is. But obviously Q1 we won't know what the tyres they're going to be starting the race on. It'll be Q2, so Q2 may just give us an idea if they're going to start in the rain, but softs can last quite a bit around here, so it doesn't give us that much indication. But for tracks like China and the likes of Bahrain as well, it could give a huge indication on the weather. But we'll see anyway. For us commentators, we hope it's going to rain, but for the drivers, they want it to be dry the whole way through.
Yeah, definitely. Not on F1, but I think on Gran Turismo I did like a 9-hour endurance race in career mode back on the PS3, and it rained all the way through, and I can tell you that it's definitely not a fun experience whatsoever around this circuit. Hibilo now sprinting towards the end of Sector 2 at the moment, 1 minute 13. Can he try and get himself set in a time that is going to be safe? Jon Palainen, who's reserving in the Haas tonight, we've seen him reserve quite a few times this season, and he's always shown decent pace. He's on the medium tyres, so he's going to try and get through this first qualifying session only using a set of mediums, and Hibilo goes into 13th, 1:29.758. That is slowest of everyone that has set a time at the moment, just behind Infamous Pillars. Lewis yet to come out of the pit lane, so he's leaving this pretty late, especially if there's any accidents or anything late on. That's almost like he wants to do this as a bit of a one-shot qualifying. We know he's got the pace to get through comfortably, but you don't want to put that unnecessary pressure on yourself.
Yeah, we've seen that in a few qualifying sessions this season, where if you leave it to the last minute, it costs you, and if you bin it, even if you set a time which gets into Q2, then that's it for you. Your qualifying is done. And especially, I think it was Monza, I believe, where the conditions got really worse in Q2, and because people were struggling, that costed them a chance of actually getting into Q3, which was a bit of a shame, which means less people took part in one of the sessions. But it just goes to show, if you bin it, even if you're definitely safe, just don't go out again if you know your time is more comfortable enough. Just save your tyres to the next session, and then you should be fine. Because otherwise, it can cost you.
Yeah, Ferhan has retired from the session, and he's the only driver that I'd say is 100% safe at the moment, as Jonathan Cox comes across the line with a 1:28.569. Infamous Pillars, he's just gone across the line, not able to improve on his previous best lap. Perhaps that was just a warm-up lap, and he's getting ready for another fast time this time around. On board with Jon Palainen, car number 13. He's hoping that will not be unlucky for him. We last saw that with Pastor Maldonado, and he was definitely an interesting driver to say the least, but this will give us an indication of what sort of pace Jon Palainen's got, and whether a few of these drivers might be able to use the medium tyres in the next qualifying session to try and get through. As you can see, drifting like crazy there as he goes over that bump, and 15th position, a 1:29.814. He'll definitely be heading back to the pits and putting on a set of the softs.
Yes, definitely. And even if Louis comes back into the session in time, then we know that he's a fast driver, so I don't think that time is going to be enough to secure him a Q2 spot. He needs to go out again, and so does pretty much everyone in the 129s to make sure their Q2 spot is safe, I would say. But even people in the low 128s as well, I forgot what I was going to say, but it's just tough to decide whether you want to go out again. But if you're in the 129s, definitely go out again.
Yeah, it's actually looking pretty close in qualified at the moment. 2nd to 13th, so that is Loney to Aylan, who we've just seen go across the line for his first lap. All separated by less than 9/10 of a second, so very close between these guys. One slight mistake could be the difference in Q3, in Q2 perhaps, but then being able to get through to Q3. At the moment, Jon Palainen heading out, Louis heading out. He's still yet to set a time, so I hope he heads out soon, otherwise he might be doing a last to first challenge that he didn't really plan on doing. And we know Desso's out, Loney's retired from the session. To be honest, he's probably going to be safe on that time, but you never know if someone can find some track improvement around here, because the track does get faster and faster as you go along, but it's not the easiest track to make time on, and also traffic could be a bit of a problem around here. It is a fairly long track, but there's not really many places where you can get out the way cleanly.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, like, for some of these guys, the track involvement improves as the session goes on, and if you just retire and then think you're going to be safe, then unless you set a ridiculous time that Louis set last week in Russia, then, you know, I mean, you just got to fit every ounce of your bean. If you know that you can go faster, just go again, because otherwise you'll definitely be out of the session. And I mean, obviously the 129s can go again, and we're already seeing a few improvements already, as I would say. Everyone is probably going to get their final soft runs in pretty soon. As Pat has retired, I think he's probably safe, but again, it's a bit of a gamble for him. He's also in the 128s, as long as Westy and Denge all the way up into, say, P15, so he's got a lot of work to do. But just hope that this compromise doesn't stop him from getting Q2 today.
Yeah, definitely. So it's we've got a weather forecast from Droftas. It's going to be dry in qualifying and overcast in the race. And we've found out that Louis has been a bit busy just cleaning himself up before the race.
He's back.
He's back, thankfully, so he's going to have one lap this time. But Wrexham, that's very impressive to get into the 1:27s at the moment. Westie's retired as well, so they're feeling pretty safe. Will they see themselves getting caught out? Probably not, just because only Desso is out, so there's only going to be 2 drivers dropping, which, if I had to make a prediction, no disrespect to these two, I'd have to guess Infamous Pillars and Hibilu, because there's a big gap there that you'd expect Louis and Jompalainen, now that he's on the softer tyres, to be able to fail. But you never know, if someone makes a mistake in this session, then that will be them going out as well.
Yeah, indeed, and knowing Louis, he's probably going to go full guns a-blazing, but to be honest, Japan, as well as tracks like USA, which we're going to next week, and also other tracks on the calendar, and Russia last week as well, pretty much it's easy to cut corners around here, and it's very unforgiving, it's very, very strict, and if you mess up and you invalidate on your only lap, then kiss your chances of a Q2 goodbye. And we don't want that to happen to Louis, of course, but he's about to start his pretty much final lap. He may have time to go for 2 laps, so these are the tyres he's not going to be using for, obviously, the race, so he can go out for 2 laps and get a feel for the track now, but he hasn't got that long to do it. Let's hope he doesn't get caught up in traffic.
Yeah, just looking at the track map, the nearest car to him is the McLaren of Aylan, who's just coming through the Dunlop curve now, so he's got quite a big gap out ahead of him, so he should be fine at the moment. All he needs to do is get into the top 15, but he'll be wanting to set a marker now that Furhan, who finished second last week, he's on a 1:27.568, so Louis, he'll definitely be hoping to get into the 1:27s. Knowing how quick he is, you never know if he could pull a surprise and manage a 1:26 as well. Who else have we got on a hot lap at the moment? He's got Surface Ace just behind him. Jompalainen has just started his lap, as has Jonathan Cox, so we'll stay on board with Louis at the moment. He's going to get another chance at the end of this session, which is all important, and that's another thing that plays a factor in these qualifying sessions. Not as much as when it's wet, obviously, but being last person across the line, you get the best track conditions.
Yeah, definitely. So maybe it might be a blessing in disguise. And luckily, Louis has not invalidated yet, and he's gone purple in sector 2. So I'm almost certain that Louis is going to be safe unless he bottles it in the Casio triangle. Let's see how he manages that. Nope, he does that absolutely fine. So I'm almost certain Louis is going to be safe anyway, with his pretty much one-shot qualifying, and he just mashes the timing sheets with a 1:27.2, and Jonan Popolainen is, I pronounced that wrong, but sorry about that. He's going out again, and he's looking quicker as well. So unfortunately, it's looking bad news for Infamous Pillars and Hibilu, that are probably going to be sitting bottom of the timing sheets at the moment.
Yeah, they're out on a hot lap as well at the moment. Jonathan Cox, he's just coming around final corner now. How, is he going to be able to improve? No, but 10th place at the moment should keep him safe. Surface Ace. Silent Ace, I mean, he might be in a bit of trouble, but stays in 13th for now. So if his teammate finds a big improvement, or anyone else on circuit that could knock them down, Hibilu unable to improve. Jompalainen, there you go, puts the soft tyres on, goes into 14th position. Aylan trying to improve on his time as well now, and he's got Infamous Pillars a bit behind. So these are the two that are under pressure, the only two that will be able to change positions where they are at the moment. Infamous Pillars needs to find 5/10 of a second. That's a pretty big margin to find if he wants to avoid going out in this first qualifying session, and that is assuming that the man on screen at the moment doesn't improve, and it doesn't look like he is at the moment. So I'll follow Aylan around for a bit. Actually, no, we'll change to Infamous Pillars because he is going faster at the moment. So he is up on his personal best, and we'll check what his time is coming through Sector 2 at the moment. It's only 2/10 off, and Aylan did actually... Did Aylan improve? Well, on my screen he's moved up position, even though his time is still slower than Silent Ace, so I'm not quite sure what's happened there, but Infamous Pillars...
Silent Ace binned it, I think. I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure what happened with that.
Yeah, Silent Ace has lost a wheel, so Silent Ace could well be out here, but it's after the checkered flag, so I'm not sure what is going to happen. Infamous Pillars did improve, but not by enough, so we know 1-4 is definitely not going to be taking any further part in this session. I'm guessing because he's binned it, he didn't come up with a retirement there, so that's why I missed that. Maybe Silent Ace out of this qualifying session as well. We'll have to see. No surprises to see who's fastest. Louis, Furhan in second at the moment. Wrexham third on his debut, and Pat in 5th doing well on his debut as well. And if we go down to those at the bottom, yeah, Silent Ace losing it at the end of qualifying session. Both Ferraris won't be taking any further part in this session. Apparently it's Silent Ace's AI who's crashed. So that's a bit galling. He'll be hoping when he gets a PS5, the AI is a bit clever and can stay away from other cars and the barriers. Ibilu out in 17th as well, and Desso, what can he fight from the back of the grid? He's had a podium before. It's going to be a tough job doing that from 18th tonight.
Yep, indeed. I think he was guided about that qualifying result, obviously because of that qualifying ban. But yeah, that was very strange what happened to Silent Ace, to be honest, because I thought he was missing a wheel, but I thought if your AI crashes, it doesn't matter. But obviously in this game, it does matter. So that's very strange. I would like to hear from Silent Aces, actually, and see what happened. He may have binned it just before he crossed the line. That's probably why the retirement didn't pop up. But we'll see anyway, because that was really, really weird.
Yeah, he'd finished his qualifying session, so the AI had taken over and has binned it. So, I mean, if we could hear from him, that'd be great. But I think we'd need to buy a bleep machine and put it on overdrive, because he's going to be pretty annoyed with that. He's shown some good pace this season. He's usually in and around the top 10. I mean, if we have a look, it's his third race here. His lowest finish has been 11th. He's got points in the last two, but it'll be a tough job tonight. Nothing he can do now. Both Ferraris hope they can fight back. Scuderia currently bottom of the Constructors' Championship, and it looks like it's going to be a tough job for them to get any points tonight. But 15 minutes of Q2 is now underway, and you can see there from the tyre graph, only Wrexham and Jonathan Cox at the moment showing the medium. So it's a bit like you said, Jess, the softs are a good enough tyre here to last in that first stint.
Yeah, indeed. Well, to be honest, it's a tough decision on what strategy you would go for. I think most people would want to go soft to hards, potentially. Soft to mediums is a bit of a gamble, but if someone can do it, it'll probably be Louis. But yeah, it does depend on how your soft stint goes, because that'll be a true indication on what tyre you can go on next for your final stint, basically. So it's going to be a tough one. But the one, obviously, Jonathan Cox and Venom, they want to possibly stretch it out and maybe start on a much harder tyre and go out longer in the race. We'll see. They may have options open, but it is the first part. They may want to get a feel for the mediums to see if it is the best for the race, or if they want to go on the soft instead. But there's some people that we've seen in a few sessions where they've gone on the mediums, think they want to start on that tyre in the race, realise it could not be enough for them to go into Q3, so they had to put on the soft tyres. For some tracks like Monza, and obviously Russia as well, it doesn't have that much of an effect if you do start on the softs. But for other tracks, it can cost you a little bit. So I wonder how Jonathan Cox and the other guys on the mediums will do on those medium tyres in Q2. Let's see if they have a time which is going to be enough to get them into Q3.
Yeah, well, Louis has gone out on an outlap also on the medium tyres, and judging by the last session, I'd say it's probably only Louis, Wrexham and Ferhan who might have been able to get away with it. But given how close Ferhan was last week to going out, I'm not too surprised to see him playing safe and staying on the softs for now. Quite often as well, drivers do tend to just set a few laps on the harder tyres anyway, just to get a bit more of a feel for the track. So maybe that's what these guys are doing. They're the only ones who truly know. But we're on board with Louis' teammate at the moment, Koala. Let's see what sort of time he can do. You're going to need to be, I think, in a low 128s, around a 128.1, 128.2 to have any chance of getting through to the next session. 27s should leave you comfortably safe at the moment, and we only saw 3 drivers do that last time around. So we'll stay on board with Koala coming through the spoon curve, and it's so crucial to get the second part of this corner right in order to get a good run down the straight, although it definitely helps when your teammate's there to give you a nice tow.
That is very, very nice, and I thought that if any teammate was going to give the tow tonight, it was going to be the Red Bulls. They did it in Russia last time about. They helped the teammates pretty much, and I'm not really that surprised, to be honest. I'm surely Koala's going to do the same to Louis later on as well, but surely Louis will get a good lap anyway, and that's helped him quite a bit. 128.1, not the fastest we've seen today, but surely that would help him just by a few attempts. But we've seen how close it is in Q1, so anything can happen.
Yeah, Cassie G coming across the line in the Williams with a 128.323. They'll be hoping to recover as a team after getting no points last time around. And given the fact that it's only the second race that Koala and Louis have done together, they do seem to work fantastically well as a team, and that can be so crucial, making sure you don't pit at the same time in the race and making sure you can give everyone the slipstream in qualifying.
Louis almost just missed it in the Dunlop curve there. I don't know how he did not miss it, and he still managed to get purple in sector 1, which is insane, I must say. Just goes to show that he's a really fast driver on this game, and he's probably going to look to get purple in sector 2 as well.
Yeah, indeed. He ran a bit wide coming out of the second Degner, a few more centimetres, and he could have easily invalidated this lap, but he'll have enough tyres left on the mediums, and you can see his teammate just ahead, willing to repay the favour. And I think Louis will be looking to set a similar time to his teammates to try and make sure he can get through to the next part of qualifying on these medium tyres. We've got yellow flags in sector 2, and that will be for McLaren. For McLaren, so that'll be Pat, who's facing the wrong way at the moment. Droftas into the 127s. He'll be really impressed with that time. He's shown a lot more pace in qualifying lately. I don't think he's been showing as much pace as this man. What can he do on those medium tyres? 127.740. Only Fairham would have beat that last time around, and he was on the soft. So I think it's safe to say Louis and Droftas, I'd say, are going to be safe and can just call it a day in this session.
Droftas' time on the soft was absolutely amazing now. I wasn't expecting to pull time that out of the bag, I must say. So, well done to him as well. I'm sure he can find some time on the bag. And if Louis was on the soft, he would probably go even quicker. But I'm almost certain Louis is going to try and go on a harder tyre at the start. But there's going to be a danger that some of these guys are going to be quicker and try and get past him into turn 1. But with Louis' defensiveness on this game, that shouldn't be a problem for him. So that is why he's probably gone guns a-blazing and decided, you know what, he could gain positions more by starting on the medium tyre, and then towards the end he can be mega quick and go for fastest lap and get the maximum points.
Yeah, you can see how good that time was. Wrexham, he's only managed a 128.7 on those mediums, so I'm fairly certain he's going to be trying for the softs later. Fairhand is on those soft tyres. Can he challenge for top 2? I'd expect him to be up near where his teammate is. Red Bull and Mercedes looking mighty quick at the moment. Looking pretty good for Williams as well. 4th and 5th. Fairhand just taking too much curb, invalidated, and he does the right thing. Just heads back into the pits. Wouldn't have had enough ERS or fuel to do another lap. Only 8 minutes to go, but he should still have plenty of time to set another lap time. Jonathan Cox here on the medium tyres as well. If I was him looking, if he is looking at the times of some of the other drivers, I'd be thinking maybe try and get out of the way. And Louis, ooh, that's not ideal driving from Louis. I think we saw Jonathan Cox coming pretty late there, but it definitely compromised the line of the racing point, and he goes into 8th position.
Yeah, you shouldn't really block Jonathan Cox like that. You shouldn't really block anyone from completing a lap, because I think Louis realised there was not his teammate behind him, so he had to move out the way pretty quickly. But surely you have a full track map at least with you on your left-hand side, so you can see whose cars are near you. And I think Louis did not do the right thing, unfortunately. So yeah, I think Jonathan Cox might have words, but if he goes faster than his 129.3, then he'll probably forget about those words.
Yeah, I would expect him probably not making too much difference in the end, as I think Jonathan Cox will go on to the softs. Paulie Orange using them softs pretty well at the moment. That is a 128.088. That's put him into 1st position. We've got some more yellow flags coming out in sector 3. Not quite sure what that was for. So to say at the moment, the top 3 drivers I think are looking pretty good. Maybe Koala as well, but everyone else might have to look at setting another lap time. Interestingly, Westy's gone back out now on the medium tyre. So was he taking it a bit easy early on the softs?
I don't know, maybe he realised that Louis, his big rival, also might be on the medium, saw that he can go faster than possibly a 127, and said, you know what, if anything he could do, he could possibly do better. So he's going to have a go, and if it doesn't work out, he can go on the softs for his final stint. But you know, Westy's quite quick anyway. You can challenge Louis in some tracks. And speaking of Louis, he goes faster yet again on the mediums that have been 3 laps old.
That's the thing with the medium tyres. They'll carry on a bit, but if he does too many laps on these mediums, let's not forget he's got to start on them, and he'll want to take them a fairly long distance into the race, unless he's planning a 2-stop strategy and to really have some fun tonight. We've got more yellow flags, and that's just for Paulie Orange, I think, getting out of the way of the Mercedes of Fairhand, who is on an outlap at the moment. So Paulie Orange wants to make sure he doesn't get anyone accusing him of holding up at the moment. And we've got a Williams in the gravel trap.
Westy,
that is Westy.
Front wing. He's lost his front wing, so I think that's cost his medium run massively. His tyres are dead right now, so scrap what we just said. He's now have to go on the softs now. He has no other choice.
Yeah, he's going to have to rush back to the pits. 5.5 minutes remaining after you count for that front wing change as well. Should be able to do it easily. It's probably maybe a bit of a blessing in disguise because timing would have been pretty tight anyway because I couldn't see him improving too much on those medium times. Koala has invalidated his lap, so it might be best for him just to save a bit of fuel and tyres and DRS, which it looks like he's doing, to go for another lap next time around. We've only had 10 drivers set a time so far. Verhan's gone back out on the medium, so I think as long as he gets around where his teammate is, he should also be able to start on those medium tyres. It would be interesting to see if these two, Louis and Verhan, are near the front of the grid, how they do, because as you said, Jess, they're going to be slower in the first stage of the stint at least, but it is easy to hold on to the lead into turn one. Even though they won't get as good of a start, it's not really an overtaking opportunity on the first lap.
It definitely is, and so I think Verhan, especially last week, did outstanding on his medium stint and controlled it quite a bit. And there was quite a few chaotic moments in the race, and Verhan managed to keep it in control and actually get some really good points. As we got Vexham as well on a lap. I think Vexham's on a lap or he's on his out lap. If not, Vexham needs to move out the way. Actually, I don't think Vexham is meant to be given the toe to Verhan, but he's given the turns to Verhan, and Verhan says, "Thank you very much. That's given me purple in sector 2," and he's going into the Casio triangle now. And I think that's probably going to hurt Vexham more than help Vexham at the moment. But Verhan's going to be very happy with that. A 128.2 on the mediums. That is the fastest medium runner, apart from obviously Louis, of course. So good job to Verhan once again. But it is to be expected with the Mercedes driver. He always does well on the mediums in qualifying.
Yeah, he was pretty nervous last week in qualifying. He's 5th at the moment. I think he's going to have another very nervous end to this session because Vexham, he's also on the mediums. He's gone for another medium run, so I'm surprised with that, seeing as he only managed to do a 128.795 last time around. Unless he finds a big improvement of around half a second, I think he's going to be heading out of this session. His teammates in the pits, and unfortunately Andenge is having a few connection issues because he did look very fast at the start of the last session. We've not got many drivers out on hot laps at the moment. Only Verhan's coming back on an out lap. It's only Vexham and Aylan. Sorry, Vexham is on the soft tyres. My apologies. So he should be fine this time around as long as he can find an improvement of around a second, and you'd expect him to do that. And he's got Verhan up ahead of him, and I think there's a bit of illegitimate teamwork going on here. You can't blame them for trying.
They're doing the same pretty much. I thought it was just an accident, but actually they're helping each other, which I thought Verhan and Droftas was going to do, but they must be good friends, and they want to make sure to knock Louis off a few perches, potentially. So Vexham now is going to get the favour of the toe. Maybe Verhan said, you're giving me the toe, it's now your turn. So let's see. And he's gone fastest, 127.3. Surely that's going to be enough for him to clinch into Q3. That is a stellar lap from the Alfa Romeo driver. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, Aylan's going very slow at the moment, so I wonder if he's made a mistake on his, what would be his first hot lap, trying to make sure he's not got any damage on his car, but he will be able to go again. Jonathan Cox is going to go on the medium tyres. Verhan, he's pretty confident at the moment, but there's a few drivers behind him. We know Aylan can improve. Loney, this time, that's not a representative lap time, so we'll see what sort of time he can go, because I think Verhan, despite that toe he got from Vexham, might still be finding himself in a bit of trouble in this qualifying session. We know Loney can improve. I think Cassie G, Westy, and maybe Jonathan Cox as well. That put him in 10th place, so we'd only need one more car to find a good lap time. And you see, Loney actually is just warming up again for another lap. So seems to be a strategy he goes for of one out lap, a slow lap, and then finally going for the fast lap. And he is only going to have one more chance. You've got Jonathan Cox. He's on the bubble at the moment with a 129.366, but again, he set his faster time earlier on the medium tyres. So he'll find a big improvement this time around. And Westy, he's got that front wing changed. It's now or never for the Williams. And really, tonight's the night he needs to take advantage of Josh not being here. He wants a victory, but with the pace that Lewis showing, that's going to be a difficult, but podium, a minimum for Westy.
Yeah, definitely, because otherwise Josh will run away with it in the final few rounds. It's unfortunate that Josh couldn't make it, but that's going to help Westy. But that doesn't mean Westy needs to take his foot off the pedal. He certainly must not. He certainly must get every fibre of his beam right now to make sure he does everything he can to just try and get that podium off of the other guys who are probably closing in, like Paulie Orange, for example, who is in 4th place at the moment.
Yeah, Paulie Orange having a very good race here. He had pretty decent time last time out, picked up some good points in 6th position in the Haas, so they'll want a similar performance tonight. And with Jon Palainen alongside him, it could really recharge Haas's Constructors' Championship battle. Westy now coming towards the end. Jon Palainen Jonathan Cox at the chicane. He's not going to have another chance after this, so this is it for the Racing Point. Can he drag the Pink Panther into Q3, moves up into 5th for now, so that should be good enough for him. We've got Westy coming around the chicane as well. Aylan could only go 11th. Westy moves up into 3rd position. Who else is on the lap and could improve? Cassie G's not improving on his personal best at the moment, but we've seen that's Loney going up into 3rd place. So Jon Palainen, Cassie G, Pat's still yet to set a lap time, and he was quick early on. So here we go, Pat coming across the finish line now. What sort of time can he do? There we go. That is Furhan on the bubble. He's in big trouble here, possibly. Jon Palainen's got to set a time. Cassie G doesn't knock him out, and neither does Jon Palainen. So Furhan, I thought he'd learned his lesson last week about making it nervous for himself. 0.02 of a second. He's made it through, and someone who is going on another lap just to try and show, I think, to Wrexham that he wants P1 in every single session. Louis doesn't need to do this, but so it's good that he's willing to try and win at every single thing. It shows a real good instinct, and we could see the first time in the 126ers here.
He's just gone purple in sector 2, so surely that's going to be enough, or maybe he's invalidated! So he's going to be starting on 3-lap mediums.
Yeah, that might not be ideal, because obviously the mediums do last a bit longer, but when you've already done 3 hot laps on them, that's not ideal. And he's put a pretty fast lap on them soft tyres for no reason whatsoever. But he's through to the next session and will be starting on the mediums, as will Furhan. But it was a lot more comfortable for Louis than it was for Furhan if you look at that times. And look how close it was. Top 11 drivers separated by just over 9/10 of a second. Cassie G just missing out, as did Jon Palainen and Aylan and Andenge, who's having connection issues, so I don't think we might not be seeing the Alfa Romeo tonight, which is a shame for him because his teammate's fastest at the moment.
Yeah, and I've just noticed something. The difference between Furhan making it to Cassie G is 0.02 of a second.
Yeah, that was very... I mean, Furhan last week in the post-race interview said he found it a bit nervous in qualifying, and he's put it under himself again, and it's a pretty good job Wrexham was there to give him a tow. Otherwise, he'd have been out, and it would have really backfired for him. But they'll all be going for the softs in this session. That is guaranteed. And judging by the end of that session, as long as Louis can keep it clean, it's probably going to be a second pole position in a row.
Never say never for the likes of Wrexham and Furhan as well, potentially. They've got plenty of softs to go in qualifying, and they could beat Louis on his own turf. I would imagine Louis probably invalidated on purpose, because I don't think he would want to start on the softs, but we'll never know, as we are starting qualifying. Pretty much everyone is going out now to start their first lap. I think we're going to see most people on the softs, because obviously these guys, they don't have to worry about a set of the mediums or starting on whichever tyre, because that's set from Q2, so it's all guns are blazing now to see who or anyone get into the 126s. Will Louis do that, and will Wrexham improve on his time to knock Louis off a few perches? We've seen that in Q2. We may see the same in Q3. It may not be Louis' pole, but we'll have to find out as everyone goes out onto the track now.
Yeah, I mean, Wrexham also was very fast in that session. We didn't get to see what Furhan could have done either, so I think those could be the top 3. Pat's looked pretty decent in a few sessions, and Paulie Orange as well as Westy putting a wheel on the grass, coming through the Degners even on his outlap. It wouldn't surprise me if that's how he ended up in the wall earlier on the mediums in Q2, but thankfully for him, He got through. He's the only Williams to get through. We have got 2 Red Bulls and 2 Mercedes as well. With no Reynolds being here tonight, things looking good for Red Bull to close that gap a bit more after they jumped 3 places last time in Russia.
Yeah, maximum points for each race in the Constructors' Championship is 44 points, and Red Bull is potentially good at, it's about 39 point gap between them in the Constructors, so if Red Bull get maximum points here tonight, they could lead it, but that will take incredible feat for Koala to potentially get P2, but it can close in a little bit more and give Josh and the other teammates in Renault something to worry about. But we got 10 minutes left to go, and I think Pat's going into the Pat's going out. I thought he was going into the pits there, but he's going out. So everyone's now out there on their laps.
Sorry to interrupt, Jess.
Oh God, Westy!
Yeah, Vexham's just come out on his out lap, right on the racing line, and Westy's gone straight into him. So we talked about Lewis blocking in earlier. You can maybe argue in Lewis' favour there. I don't think Vexham's going to have any defence for that. He's just come out of the pits and not realised Westy's there, who was going to be first man on a hot lap, but now Westy's got a damaged front wing, and he's got to make sure he stays out of everyone's way.
Exactly. I think Westy is not having any luck in this qualifying session at all. He had bad luck in Q2 because he was hoping to start on the mediums, and now his first soft run, not good at all. And that's not going to give him enough tyres to possibly start the race on, which is going to be crucial for Westy. And Westy's being blocked left, right and centre by everyone. He is struggling, and I won't be surprised if he just retires the car. Someone else is moving out the way. I think that's one of the Toro Rossos of Loney, that's it. He's the only one there, because obviously the other one missed out on this session. So yeah,
Loney again seems to be going for that tactic of another warm-up lap on the medium tyres, as the Red Bulls giving each other a nice tow, with Koala ahead of Lewis. So Lewis going to be first person to set a hot lap, I believe, in this session. Can he get into the 126s on the soft tyres? Pat getting well out of the way there. He doesn't want to be involved in any danger as long as he doesn't invalidate his own lap next time around by doing so. So what can the Red Bull do? He was winner last time out, and he is indeed first man underneath 127 here with a 126.940. Droftas not able to get anywhere near. Paulie Orange has got Loney just ahead of him, but Loney there dives into the pit. So what can Paulie Orange do? Fairhand's gone into second for now. Paulie Orange only third. So quite a few drivers not managing to match for times we saw earlier, which is surprising.
Yeah, it is actually, and it's due to a few mistakes. It might be under too much pressure, because obviously they want to climb up into the standings as much as they possibly can, and obviously Q2 for some of these guys, they're pretty much safe, whereas like for Furhan, he literally just made it, so he had more pressure in Q2, and that's probably why he's P2 at the moment, because he was probably glad that he made it into Q3. So yeah, Westy, it cost him a little bit. So did Lenny and Jonathan Cox. They don't have long to go out again and set a final few laps on those soft tyres, so they got to get a move on.
Yeah, definitely. So you've got Jonathan Cox, Westy, Loney and Pat. They seem to be going for one run, maybe when the track's a bit quieter. And here we go. Louis is going to be able to give his teammate a tow, but I think it's a bit close at the moment between the Red Bull, so this is not ideal. And you can see actually Koala's going to have to shift over to the outside of the track pretty late on. That didn't work as well as the 2 Red Bulls will have hoped, but there's a big gap for Koala to fit into at the moment. Furhan second, 6/10 behind Louis at the moment. Can Koala make it a Red Bull 1-2 in this qualifying session? No. Slots into third at the moment. But you can see still pretty big gaps at the moment. Vexham, he's come across the line 129.294 on his hot lap. He'll be hoping to go again. Louis fastest at the moment by over half a second from Furhan, who's nearly half a second ahead of Koala.
Yep, indeed. 6 minutes to go, of course. The track will be evolving towards the end, and you will want to be the last person to go out for your lap, because you're probably guaranteed pretty much a top 5. So I think that's what some of these guys are doing right now. But the ones that need to set a lap, they probably might have to go a bit early, because otherwise they may be starting at the back end of this top 10 group, and you do not want that.
Yeah, you don't want to be in the midfield. There's a big concertina effect, obviously, and all the midfield closers together. And with turn 1 not being a huge breaker zone, especially when you're not coming at it from full speed, it can so easily have issues on the first corner. I think we've seen, if you watch the rewind the other week, you'll see Sato and Barrichello going off there. Alonso, possibly one of the crashes that cost him a chance in the title in 2012. He was involved in a big accident on that corner as well. Koala and Wrexham just heading back to the pits now. Verhan, he'll be pretty happy with that second place at the moment. Puts him in a good position in the race. But if it stays like this, him and Louis could be under pressure given they're starting on the mediums.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Verhan wants to make sure he gets that win. So he's going to do everything he can to stop the Red Bulls from potentially getting a 1-2. And his lap time is pretty good as well, but just not enough to snatch Louis off his perch at the moment. And we've seen Wrexham 129.2. I know he could do better. He beat Louis in qualifying. He almost got into the 126s, so surely he can probably go up there and possibly beat Verhan as well. So it is all to play for pretty much all of these guys. They're all big names here. We haven't seen what Pat can do. We'll have to wait and see what Pat can do, see where he qualifies in this session as a reserve driver. We usually see reserves do well on this track, so, you know, anything can happen with Pat. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, definitely, indeed. It's all got rather quiet around the Suzuka circuit. All nice and serene. The only movement of any wheels is the big wheel in the background. And I know if I ever get a chance to visit the Suzuka circuit, I'm going to end up on that wheel at some point. Imagine if it stopped at the top and you got to see the entire race from there. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I would like to see that as well. And I almost had a chance of going to the London Eye a few years ago, and that was pretty much a good experience I would like to go to. But yeah, I've never seen this in a while where literally no one has gone out yet. But I've seen a McLaren go out. That's Pat's. He wants to be the first to go out, but that's a wise decision, a good decision actually, especially if you haven't set a lap time. And he's on the soft tyres, I believe. Yes, he is. So that's a good decision. So he's got, I think, pretty much one chance only to set a competitive lap time. As we're seeing more people go out of the pits now, it's crunch time.
Yeah, this is it, the final 3.5 minutes of this session. Red Bull 1-3 at the moment with Verhan just behind. We haven't seen a lap from Pat, Jonathan Cox. Westy and Loney have been out, but for various reasons didn't set a competitive lap time or any lap time. In fact, so it'll be interesting to see where they feature in this qualifying session. Can you see anyone challenging Louis? And if not, who do you think is going to get that second position?
Yes, let us know in the chat, of course, who you think is going to get pole position. We've seen a few surprises. We may see a few people bin it. We'll just have to find out. Of course, there's a few people still not out yet. They are waiting for the final moment. I'm surprised Louis did not wait. I thought he would have gone a bit later, but surely he's timed it right so he can go out for 2 laps on those soft tyres to be the last one to set a lap time potentially. But he is cutting on the cuts a little bit there, so let's just hope he has time for two laps. But the soft tyres, especially if you go on 2 laps on those, it's going to degrade pretty quickly in the race. So I'm sure Louis can manage that. We've got yellow flag in sector 1. That's probably people moving out of the way, and it's got a lot of traffic going into these last couple of minutes. This is crucial. You need to get clean air around here.
Yeah, and I think why Louis gone out early on is you've just seen his teammates coming around the first couple of corners now. He's going to get another toe off Koala, I think, and then still have enough time to give Koala a toe on his flying lap. So Louis, I can't imagine doing 2 flying laps. I think this is going to be it. There is a lot of traffic out on circuit at the moment, and Pat might find himself getting balked for a few of these corners. You can just see some of the cars going up ahead of him. That was a Mercedes just up ahead, but they're all going to be slowing down to try and get out of each other's way, and that could cost Pat here. And you can just see stuck in a traditional traffic jam here. Dropdas getting well out of the way, as did Koala, so very intelligent driving from them. And in fact, he might get a bit of a accidental toe here off Westy coming down the straight. There's Paulie Orange moving out of the way, and Westy, don't block him. He just saw him, I think, at the last minute there, did Westy. So here comes Pat now in 7th position. This might be his one and only chance to get that McLaren near the front of the grid. He's got a Toro Rosso of Loney ahead of him there, so will the Toro Rosso move out of the way? I think he's trying to here, but he's also trying to get ready for his own hot lap as well. So there's Pat getting a nice little help down the straight, and Loney, I didn't think he was going to move out of the way at all then in the end. He just went straight on at the 130R. It's a good job that is now tarmac, otherwise that would have been a huge accident back in the olden days of Formula 1. But let's see what Pat can do. His first and probably only time in this session. Good enough for third for now. Is Louis improving? Yes, he is. 126.866. And it's going to be tough to see anyone beating that. Everyone now coming on to their final laps. Just half a minute remaining.
Yep, and did I see Verhan go out of the pits? Actually, no, he's not. He's struggling. He's gone off. Or I think that's qualifying over for Verhan by the looks of things. But he was hoping he was going to get a tow or something from Joftas. But, you know, he's kind of on the cusp of fuel as well. So for some of these guys, they've left it a little too late. As, yeah, I don't think he's going to go again. He's on 0 ERS. And the checker flag is dropping. So we're seeing a few people in sector 3 at the moment, as we've seen Jonathan Cox doing a very good sector 2 right now, but we've seen people go fast in sector 2 but just completely bottle it on the final sector, or even the first sector actually. Jonathan Cox, he's going to be the first person to cross the finish line, and it's a 4th place for him, as we've seen a few. I'm just seeing who else is going across the line. No one yet at the moment, and Verhan can't improve, he's invalidated, and we got Pat going again for another lap. He's got enough errs to go for another lap again, and I think he's given an accidental tow to Loney as well. I think Loney did the same to Pat as well, so I think they've returned the favour there. So let's see what Loney could do going towards the Castillo Triangle now. There's a few more people about to do the same, but let's see if Loney can get a validated lap and get outside. Yes, he can. A 127.3 for Loney. That's going to wake up Verhan, that's for sure. And Koala, nope, he's not improving either. And Pat is in the pit, so it's just Paulie Orange going to cross the line now. Let's see what he can do. Can he get higher than 8th? 7th place for him, and I think that's no one else improving. So Louis on pole, but Loney, a very good qualifying position for him. 2nd place.
Yeah, and Westy might be a bit more annoyed at Vexham now than he was earlier, because I think Westy's actually made a mistake coming through with Degner's on that lap, so he didn't set a lap at all. He'll be starting in 10th position, only 1 place ahead of his teammate, but it is Louis on pole position. Loney getting his best qualifying of the season in 2nd. Watch out for him in the first couple of laps, as Louis ahead and Verhan behind, both on the mediums. Koala is 4th, Pat 5th, Jonathan Cox 6th, Paulie in 7th, Droftas 8th, Vexham 9th, and Westy will be in 10th position, and it's going to be crucial for Loney that he can get ahead of Louis early on and try to make the best out of those soft tyres.
Yeah, I think Westy will be a bit disappointed about that, and especially this is the race where you've got to get a good result, and I think if he does not get a good result, that's going to help Josh massively. I think Josh must be praying right now that Westy bottles it, and as we said earlier, it's going to be an overcast race, so track temperatures will be a bit different, so we may see people struggle a little bit more, but I'm looking forward to this race. And it's not as overcast as we would have thought. I would have thought it would have been a bit more overcast than that, but we can't complain, as all cars are about to start an epic Japanese Grand Prix.
Yeah, it should definitely be a fantastic race here at Suzuka. Normally, the Japanese Grand Prix is nice and early in the morning, and you need to be pretty awake for that. If you need something to help you stay awake, you can check out our sponsors, Mixed Energy. Use the promo code FOR2020 to get 10% off. You can also check the link below in the description for Player One coffee as well. Louis, he looks awake enough. He looks as though he doesn't need any coffee. Is it going to be another pole win and a fastest lap from the Red Bull driver?
We'll have to wait and see. He did it last week, but knowing him, he's probably going to pull off the line and get a good start. But like we said earlier, safety cars is quite a common thing, and we've seen sometimes Louis could get screwed in those safety car moments, and restarts could be key as well. So Louis going to hope that there's no safety cars, as he's on the medium compounded tyres. The only one inside the top 10 apart from Verhan to go on those medium tyres. They're not going to be as fast at the start of the race, but at the end of the race, boy oh boy, that's going to be interesting. But they don't want anyone else on those soft tyres at the end of the race. They just want it to be them. But if there is a safety car towards the end, most people want to go on the soft tyres if they have enough left, of course.
Yeah, other drivers starting on the mediums. Those outside the top 10, you've got Cass G, Aylan, Bo Ferraris, and Desso. He's also starting on the mediums tyres, down in 17th after that qualifying ban. got a podium fantastically in Belgium, retired from the Italian Grand Prix. They're the only 2 races he's been in so far. Will he be able to get a good result here tonight? He'll be hoping for one. Ooh. Podium predictions then, Jess. Who do we think the top 3 is going to be here tonight? Because obviously it's going to be interesting with Louis and Ferhan on a different strategy.
Yeah, definitely. But I have got to. It's going to be a tough one. I'm going to go with Louis Ferhan, and I always go for a bold prediction for my 3rd place, as for some of you know who see me commentate in other leagues. I'm going to go for Pat for P3. I think he's going to breeze past in those soft tyres, and he's going to do a good job on his reserve debut to FOR. So I think Louis, then Ferhan, then Pat.
Yeah, well, won't be long before we find out. Let us know who you guys think are going to win as well. It wouldn't surprise me if Louis and Ferhan are top 2 themselves, but do you know what? I think Westy's going to come back and manage to get on the podium from 10th position. I think he's got a bit of anger in himself now, and if he uses it right, he could definitely use that to push himself to another podium in the Williams. We'll have to wait and see now, as he just comes around the final corner. Everyone lining up. We've got 17 cars here today at the Japanese Grand Prix for round 17 of the inaugural FOR Formula Online Racing PS4 Championship, and I'm sure it's going to be a fascinating race. Is Louis going to be able to make it 2 wins out of 2? How much can Paulie Orange and Droftas close the gap on Josh in his absence? We'll have to wait and see as the lights starting to come on now. We've got 5 lights here at Suzuka. We are racing. It's a good start from Louis. Loney as well, trying to get alongside, but not able to do so. Ferhan might find himself getting a bit swamped here by a couple of cars. In fact, Ferhan there looking to go all the way around the outside at turn 1, trying to cut back at turn 2, not able to do so. Pat trying the same on Koala, and in fact he's now dropping behind Jonathan Cox as they're battling through the S's. Pat nearly finding himself getting shoved off track. There might be contact between them. There is contact. Pat is going around, and there's big collisions to both Ferraris off circuit as well. We've got front wing damage on one of those that was in the wall. That is infamous pillars. Not sure. I think Silent Ace dropped a couple of positions as well, and there's some further battling going on as well. Ferhan, he's been passed by Koala, nearly got passed by Jonathan Cox. So very interesting first lap there. Plenty of action, and Jonathan Cox thinks about moving to the hairpin. Wisely decides against it. So not a great start from Ferhan. He lost a place on the medium tyres, but Louis will be trying to get away now in these opening couple of laps.
I think Louis, to be expected, is pulling away from Loney massively, which I'm quite shocked about if that Loney's not managing to close the gap a little bit more. But Ferhan, I think, struggled a little bit more, but he'll probably come to his own towards the end of his medium stint when the softs start to die. So he should be fine at the moment, but he does want to drop a little bit as Jonathan Cox is breathing down his neck. But Westy, he's managing to benefit from this trouble. He's gained 2 places up into 8th position, and Pat all the way down in 16th place. I think I should stop going for bold predictions because they always seem to go lower down the field for some weird reason. So yeah, I'll shut up with those predictions at that time being.
Yeah, Jon Palainen, he must have been involved in that incident as well, so he's heading into the pits now. Paulie Orange battling with Jonathan Cox, the Haas driver, going side by side with the Racing Point. We saw this end badly for Pat last time around. Will it have the same result this time? No. Paulie Orange getting ahead, and Vexham trying to sneak his nose in there. That was only going to end one way if he had have got alongside. There's one Racing Points dropping down the field. Desso managed to get his way up into 11th place, so he's just on the verge of the points. He's had a fantastic start, moving up 6 positions. Hibilu's moved up 4, but Pat, the biggest loser, dropping 10 places. But thankfully for him at least, doesn't seem like he had any damage on his car, so you might be able to salvage a couple of points in this race because he's definitely quick enough.
Yeah, infamous pillars into the pits there, and he had a few spins after his first spin as well, which is costing him time on those the tyres that he was on, which I can't remember, but he's on the softs again, I believe, from those mediums, maybe because he doesn't have enough of the tyres left. But I don't know why he's going on that. I thought he would go on the hards, to be honest, but again, hards don't last the whole race around here. So I'm guessing he just wants to be faster in the first race so he can gain position. There's a lot of people moving position up and down the field. We got Paulie Orange once again on Jonathan Cox. Paulie Orange, I think, gets past him as well. And we got Vexum and Cassie G right on the back of this as well. Well, Jonathan Cox must be really struggling on those soft tyres, and I think the others are taking advantage of it. Cassie G is going to try and make a run on Vexum into turn 1, but thinks better of it at the moment. I think Jonathan Cox his tyre wear must be really bad on the back end, because Vexum is doing very well, and so is Cassie G on those mediums.
Yeah, and Jonathan Cox, he's dropped more than a second behind Paulie Orange. That could be crucial. The Haas will be hoping to stay within a second of Furhan, because Furhan on those medium tyres might be a bit vulnerable in these opening stages. Hibilu's coming to the pits, not sure whether he had any damage. I did see him get some warnings for penalties. I think Vexum has nearly lost it there behind Cassie G, and that's going to give Westy a fantastic run coming up to the hairpin. Cassie G was able to get through. Vexum not able to lose a position there, and Vexum's now trying to fight back here. He's alongside Cassie G. This will give him the inside line for the spoon curve if he's able to stay there. And Westy, he's ready to take advantage if anything happens. One, the Alfa Romeo goes through, and Westy takes advantage of that, getting back ahead of his teammate as well. So opportunistic driving from Cassie G to get ahead of Vexum originally, and somehow ended up costing him a place, as now Droftas is in his slipstream as well. This will be a very brave move into 130R. Surely you just line it up for the chicane or wait until the DRS zone.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a bit of team orders going on at Williams, because obviously Westy is further ahead in the championship than Cassie G. So I wonder what Cassie G will be thinking. Will they be allowed to fight for position, or will Cassie G be told, right, Westy's in the championship fight, you're not, you stay behind and make sure you keep hold up Droftas behind you. But it's no easy going there as well. But I'm surely, if Westy can't get past this guy, maybe Cassie G may be given a chance pretty soon as well. So it's really, really tough to call on what these guys are doing. But by the looks of things, Cassie G has been told to stay behind Westy.
Yeah, I think definitely for the next few laps, that will be the best thing to do. As the mediums become better than the soft, swap over and maybe give Cassie G a chance to move further up the order. Deso, who we're on board with now, was the man looking raciest and most likely to make a pass on anyone last time around, but there's a bit of a DRS train effect going on here, and it's not really a long DRS zone. It's definitely not as effective, the drag reduction system around Suzuka, as it is around some other circuits. So I think maybe having to go into the chicane might be the best decision for some of these guys if they want to make an overtake. Up out front at the moment though, Louis doesn't have to worry about that. 2.7 seconds his gap to Loney, as we've got a yellow flag in sector 1, and that is Hibilu, and he's got big damage to his front wing as well. So doesn't look like he's going to make his debut points this time, and he's in the wall. He's off in the wall. Is that going to cause a safety car or a virtual safety car? He's pretty far off the track, so I think we should be safe at the moment. So doesn't look like that's going to cause any problems, but we do have our first retirement as Vexum, he's all over the back of Jonathan Cox actually this time around. He's now going for attacking down into turn 1. They're side by side, and yes, Alfa Romeo spinning around. That happens a lot.
Yeah, definitely, and usually sometimes if you're on your inside and try and going for the move, then usually the inside car usually goes for a spin, and that was a shame from Vexum. He's down into 12th place at the moment, but sometimes you got to take the risk. Vexum took the risk, and it did not pay off for him. What a shame for him, but he's got to salvage this. He knows he's faster than some of the guys ahead of him at the moment, so hopefully he could make a comeback before he has to pit.
Yeah, we'll have to see. That's promoted. Westy up, and as I've just got off screen from Vexum, he's lost it again, and now he is going to have to pit because he's got damage to his front wing, missing an end plate. So things going from bad to worse. It's really been a terrible lap for Vexum. He was battling with Jonathan Cox, went for an optimistic move, I must say, because that door was always going to close, and if you're the inside car on F1 2019, the drivers are all aware, it's usually you that comes off worse. The same thing happened with Pat earlier, and now that he's got front wing damage, it wouldn't surprise me if he pits and puts the hard tyres on this time around. So now that gives the Williams of Westy a free run at Jonathan Cox, and he's already closed that gap because it was more than a second at the start of this lap, and you can see Jonathan Cox sliding all over the place there. I think Westy, he'll be a bit more circumspect and a bit more careful about having a move, but he'll be wanting to get hold of Jonathan Cox sooner rather than later, but he's got a fantastic toe, and here we go, down the inside he goes. Jonathan Cox trying to fight off around the outside at the moment, just holds off the place for now as Wrexham. Yeah, things really going bad for him. 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, but Westy, he looks much faster than Jonathan Cox at the moment. Needs to get ahead as soon as possible, because Paulie Orange is now nearly 4 seconds up the road.
Yeah, Paulie Orange having a really good time to fall away, and he's in DRS of Verhan as well. He's in this battle with third place. A potential podium could be on the cards for the Haas driver, and that's going to help him more in the championship with obviously Josh not here. So we thought Westy's going to gain a bit more. It's actually Paulie Orange that could gain the most in this situation. He can turn his bad string of results to a really good string of results at the moment if he keeps this up, but he knows that Verhan will be going longer into this race, so Paulie Orange has got to get past Verhan so he can fight against Koala, who's on the same strategy as Paulie Orange.
Yeah, I think Koala's going to be a bit vulnerable though this time around. Those medium tyres will now probably be as good, if not better, than the softs, and Koala's just outside of DRS range, so we'll see here if Verhan is able to have a go into turn one, but it just looks as though he is a bit too far back. Should be safe from Paulie Orange. If things stayed as they are, Josh would end up having a 15-point lead into the next race over Westy, and Paulie Orange would only be a point behind. So really close it up going into the last 4 races, starting with Mexico next time around. This time Westy a bit further behind Jonathan Cox, and Drofdas has managed to get ahead of Cassie G, which we must have missed at some point, but Drofdas in the Mercedes, he's now up into 8th position, and he's starting to fall back from the Racing Point and Williams ahead.
Yeah, definitely. A few people actually dropping back as well, so maybe the softs are probably not the best tyres to be on right now. You probably may want to go on to the hard tyres and salvage this until the end. We'll have to wait and see, of course. Maybe people be on the mediums will be the best option for Verhan and Louis. They're absolutely flying at the moment, and you can tell that the mediums are faster because Louis has found another second on Lonely up front, and Verhan is trying to break the DRS from obviously Paulie Orange as well. So potentially people going on those soft tyres, it may not have lasted longer than we would have thought, but it may be due to those track temperatures.
Yeah, indeed. It is a bit cooler at the moment, so if anything you'd expect the tyres to last a bit longer, but maybe now that they're wearing out, they're not being able to retain the heat the same, and there's a sliding a bit over the surface of the track. Desso in 10th place. Let's not forget he started down in last position, as there we go, Louis, fastest lap of the race, 1:31.4, just proving your point, Jess. Those mediums looking very good at the moment. Koala's into the pits. He's got himself a penalty for speeding in the pit lane, so he'll either serve that at his next pit stop or later in the race it will get added on. Westy's now clear thanks to Jonathan Cox pitting, so he's up into 5th place. His teammate battling with Drofdas 6th and 7th at the moment. This is where Cassie G and Desso need to make their way up the order now, because those on the softs will be pitting shortly, so they need to make the best of these mediums.
Yeah, definitely. We've got quite a few people on the mediums at the moment. Obviously, Silent Ace being one of those drivers as well. He's not doing too bad at the moment. He's obviously in 10th, but there's still a few people that have already pitted, and he's making the most of this situation after being knocked out of Q1 due to, I think it was an AI situation that happened. That's what the cause was. I still don't know why the game penalised him for that, but it'll probably be discussed at the end of this race, but that's for sure. But Silent Ace is taking advantage. He's in 10th at the moment and doing quite well on those mediums.
Yeah, he's got one McLaren behind him, Alan also on the mediums, but the one ahead of him, Pat, is on the soft tyres, so I don't think it'll be too long before he's got a 3-1 to Desso and Cassie G up ahead of him. Paulie Orange, you can see now in 4th position, starting to drop back a bit from Verhan, and now that Koala has pitted, any chance of the undercut has gone out of the window, so going to be tough for him. We've got some support here for Drofdas and Infamous in the chat as Loney. He decides now is the time to come into the pit. What tyres will he go for? Because Koala's gone for the mediums, Jonathan Cox has gone for the hards, and I'd say lap 8, the hards were probably best. Now it's pretty borderline for the mediums, but that is what Loney goes for anyway. Westy and Pat also going into the pit, so as soon as Cassie G manages to get Drofdas out of the way, he's got a nice clear run on these medium tyres, but the Mercedes doing a fantastic job of keeping these drivers at bay.
Yeah, definitely. The Mercedes drivers working together, of course, and there was a few tracks in real life where we've seen the double stack, but obviously that's not going to happen here. I kind of wish it happens in F1 2020 when as soon as your teammate goes out of the pits, then they can serve your car, but that probably will not happen, which is a bit of a shame, but we've seen a few instances in some leagues, actually, where we've seen the double stack actually work a little bit if your teammate's a little bit further behind. So maybe we might see that in the case of Verhan and Drofdas. Obviously Drofdas will need to pit earlier than Verhan, but if they go on to a similar strategy, if something bad happens at the end, then that'll probably might have to happen. As we've got a yellow flag in sector 1, that's probably
Vexen.
people. Yeah, that's Vex. He's just not having a good day, isn't he?
Yeah, he got involved in an incident in qualifying, and ever since that in Q3, things have really gone from bad to worse for him. Down in 15th at the moment, so it looks as though Alfa Romeo won't be getting any points in this race now that he has got that damage. Drofdas and Paulie Orange still going on for another lap at the moment, and Cassie G just doesn't look close enough again to be able to have a go on Drofdas. Will the Mercedes go defensive? And Cassie G just lifting off. Part of it feels he should have just committed then and maybe sent a move, because he's losing a lot of time behind that Mercedes at the moment. It's now 6 seconds back to Paulie Orange as Loney gets past Alan on the fresher medium tyres, and starting on the mediums is good because you'll be faster later on in the race, but Cassie G and Desso might find themselves too far down the field to really challenge for those higher spots and possibly even a podium.
Yeah, if you're not that higher up on the medium tyres, then possibly kiss your chances of getting a good result goodbye pretty much. But Cassie G's probably minding his own business right now, but he knows that he's got to try and defend from Desso behind, who probably wants to be ahead of them at the pit stop, of course. But Drofdas is running his own battle as well, but he must know that the other two are on a different strategy, so surely he doesn't have to fight this one.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's defended overly hard, to be fair, Drofdas. He did leave the inside free, and to be fair to Cassie G, I think he might have gone for it if Desso wasn't so close behind him, because he didn't want to go for a lunge and then all of a sudden lose and place to the racing point if it goes wrong. But he'll be hoping that Mercedes and the Haas of Paulie Orange get out of the way pretty shortly, because I imagine once these guys pit, they should be pretty comfortable on the mediums towards the end of the race. And there we go, Drofdas in the pit, so that frees Cassie G, and he'll get DRS to help him defend from the racing point, and we see another penalty for speeding in the pit lane, so that could prove to be costly at the end of the race. Out in front though, and we haven't really spoke about him because he's just doing such a serene, calm job at the moment. Louis 7.7 seconds ahead of Verhan, who has pulled that gap out now to 2.6 seconds over Paulie Orange.
Yeah, indeed. Louis showing why he deserves to be in this league, of course. There's no means feat. He could possibly get 2 wins in a row, and he could join the 2 wins club here at FOR, of course. The only people to get 2 wins is obviously Paulie Orange, Westy, and Josh are now in the top 3. And obviously Thomas got his 3rd win, I think, in Italy, obviously. And obviously Verhan got 2 wins as well. So Louis is going to be part of an exclusive club here if he keeps it up.
Yeah, I was actually working out there whether Louis had a mathematical chance of winning the championship given the form he's in, but alas, it turns out he doesn't, because the most he can get to is 156. So even if Josh misses every race, he'll still finish behind, but he's definitely going to have a say in the championship, because it looks as though if he carries on this form, he'll be taking that top slot for quite a few races to come at the moment. 8 seconds ahead of Verhan, who's again in second. Paulie Orange, only driver on them softs yet to have pitted, so we'll wait and see where he comes out after all this is happening. Indeed, he does drive into the pits now. You can see Drofdas, after doing quite long, has dropped behind Westy. Will Paulie Orange drop further down the field? We're hoping to come out ahead of Alan at least to avoid getting held up. That was a lightning fast pit stop from the Haas team. So where is Paulie Orange going to be on those medium tyres at the moment? There goes Loney flying past. Koala gets past as well, and I think Alan will as well. So just get held up a bit. So Paulie Orange losing a place to Koala there, I believe.
Yeah, so I think the undercut worked well for Koala more than Paul Orange's overcut. And for some of these guys, it varies really. But when I was racing in Japan, I've noticed the undercut was a bit more powerful than the overcut. So ideally, you've got to pit earlier than you possibly can. But we'll have to wait and see what Verhan does to Louis. Surely Verhan will probably try for the undercut. But knowing that, obviously Louis is quite fast anyway. If Louis does the undercut or the overcut, whichever one he does, he's going to be ahead anyway. So Louis doesn't need to worry about that.
Yeah, if there's anyone watching who's not familiar with those turns, undercut, you pit earlier on, put on the fresher tyres, you have a lot more pace. Overcut, you don't see as much. You might see it in a few series where they still have refueling, where you go a bit longer and take advantage of having a very low fuel load, but it's not something you see as much in F1 now. Tell you whose strategy doesn't seem to be working out too much for him at the moment. That is Jonathan Cox in the Racing Point. Went for the hard tyres. He's seen Pat get past him, and I was about to say Pat's pulled out 2 seconds on him nearly, but you can change that because Pat's gone off the circuit at the spoon curve, so all that hard work that he's done catching up to Jonathan Cox and getting back up to the back of that Racing Point, because those two were together on the first lap, and that's what caused the McLaren to spin. He's going to have to try and get past him once again.
Yep, indeed. What a shame. He started high up and now he's down into 13th again. And Paulie Orange showing that obviously the fresher mediums are a lot better. As he says, thank you very much. He's now up into 8th place at the moment, and he's got to find a few seconds now onto Koala. And it's no easy feat for the Haas driver, because obviously Koala is getting used to those warmer tyres, whereas Paulie Orange has just been on it. But it also depends on the setup as well. So Paulie Orange may be better geared to the straights. He is gaining on the straights, I think, but not as much on the corners. We'll have to find out pretty soon as well as the race goes on. We're pretty much halfway into this race already, and the people on the mediums will be thinking shortly when will they go for their first and final pit stops. There's only one stop in this league, obviously, and they may try and go out as long as they possibly can on those mediums, because no matter what happens, if you set the fastest lap in whatever position you're in, you get a point, and that's the beauty in F1. It encourages people to actually fight for a position and not retire, because even if you're lower down, you can go on the final set of softs at the end and then potentially get fastest lap for it. So that's probably what some people are doing inside the top 10. They're still on the mediums, but the ones outside the top 10, they may still have a little bit of soft left over to do that one final push.
Yeah, Infamous Pillars, he's just been in for his second pit stop after getting involved in that lap 1 incident. He'll now be on the mediums towards the end of this race. Koala in 7th. He was the first guy to pit on those medium tyres, and he is going to have to go quite a long way. 19 laps, he'll have to do on those mediums, whereas Paulie Orange, 4 lap fresher tyres. That could be one to watch towards the end of the race. It currently looks like it's going to be a battle for net 4th position, perhaps. Depends where Verhan and Louis come out and how long they can make the tyres last. And you've got Desso, who's actually managed to get ahead of Cassie G. So I said he was looking racy early on. He started at the back. He's in a podium position for now. Will obviously drop a long way down the field after his pit stop, but all these guys will be lightning quick on the softs in the top 5 towards the end of this race. And Loney, he might be hoping that Surface and a few of the others pit soon, because he's starting to catch up to these guys now.
Yeah, I think they must be praying that people are going to lose time so they can gain. As Vexum is out.
Vexum's out and Loney spun it. Loney has spun coming out of the spoon curve, and he's going to have to do a bit of a Vanganathan here to get out of that. He's dropped so many places. He was up in 6th, he's down in 10th position now, and Droftas is going to get him as well. So Loney looking like a possible podium. He's thrown it away here, just getting on the curve, out of the spoon curve. Luckily for him, I think he's avoided any damage from hitting the wall, because he got stuck right up against the wall there. But losing 6 places, not ideal, as Aylin died. Oh, I thought Aylin was diving into the pits, but no, Westy fighting with the McLaren there, and Aylin unsurprisingly deciding that he doesn't want to fight too hard on the older set of tyres. As you can see, Vexum's car retiring, so Vexum has made it 2 retirements from this race, and we came oh so close to having 3 with Loney there.
Yeah, oh my goodness. I don't know how he caught that spin, to be honest with you, but it shows he has good car control at the best of times, and he wants to carry on fighting. And there's another spin, as I just said that, and he's in the gravel trap. We were speaking about the gravel traps earlier, can catch a few drivers out, and that's caught Loney off once again, and he's reset to track. I don't think he's meant to do that, but anyway, he goes and backs, joins the circuit again. He's not liking those medium tyres by the looks of things. He's not getting up to temperature that much by the looks of things, or it might be some damage that he's hiding from us. I'm not entirely sure, but you know, I think he'll probably have to, if he has any softs left, it wouldn't hurt him going into the pits again, but he's going to lose so much time.
Yeah, well, I think he's going to have to try something different because he's now 20 seconds off the points here, and that's the thing with the gravel traps. Not only they're harder to get out of, once you do get out of them, your tyres are dirty, so maybe you just went a bit too quick into the Degner straight after. They're not the easiest corners when you've got loads of grip, and he's definitely struggling in that Toro Rosso at the moment. Out in front though, Louis still doing well, 16 laps so far on those medium tyres, so expect another lap or two, and himself, Ferhan, Desso, Cassidy and Silent Ace will all be coming in for the soft tyres, and it'll be close between Ferhan and Koala. I must say, for what will be second place initially, we'd expect Ferhan to do what he did last week and make his way up into second as well. Desso, Cassidy and Silent Ace, they're really going to find themselves in a battle, and a battle that is starting to develop on track now is for the lower points positions. Alan, another driver who's yet to pit in this race, he's having Droftas catching up to him, and this should be fairly straightforward for the Mercedes.
Yeah, I'm almost certain it's going to be Alhan needs to pit, of course, whereas Droftas doesn't, so surely the McLaren driver will probably think it's the right time for Droftas to go through, of course, because it's going to be hard through the other corners to do that. Maybe he might try it in Spoon Curve, or maybe he wants to have a little bit of a fight, as Lonely's day has gone from bad to worse. He's got another 3-second time penalty as well, as obviously it's going to be hard on those medium tyres at the moment if you're still on them from the start of the race, but if you just pitted onto them, you're going to be absolutely fresh on those tyres. And speaking of the mediums, Desso and Cassie G are going into the pit, and they're going onto the soft compound tyres.
Yeah, this is a lap earlier than I expected anyone to come in, because they're going to have to do 11 laps on their softs. I think we saw Paulie Orange do 10 or 11 laps earlier, so it's definitely doable, and it should be easier now that they've got much lower fuel loads. And you can see there we've got a brilliant view from Desso of that battle for now 7th place between Alan and Droftas, so you'd expect Desso to be able to dispatch these two pretty quickly. Droftas not getting past Alan as quickly as he would have liked, and he's just losing chunks of time. Talking of tyre life and tyres making a difference, the fresher tyres on that Haas at the moment, Paulie Orange is now less than a second behind Koala. This all of a sudden could be a battle for second or third place at the end of the race.
Yeah, and Koala wants to make sure he can get a Red Bull 1-2. Maybe we can see that at the moment. And obviously 2 Renaults are not here. If Louis and Koala get a 1-2, they would lead the championship, the Constructors. Who would have thought that after that? Renault will be probably knocked off their perch. So I'm guessing Renault must be shaking in their boots right now. And Christian Horner must be loving this, as Lonely is out of the session.
Yeah, Loney's out. He's dropped it at the second Degner, and a safety car, and Ferhan managed to get in the pits, and Louis didn't. So that could really spice things up. Ferhan got in the pits at just the right time. He's had a bit of a stroke of luck there. Silent Ace will be diving in as well. So Louis just missed the pit lane entry. That didn't cause a safety car earlier, but it has this time around. Paulie Orange, Koala coming in as well. They're all going to be jumping onto the soft tyres at the end of this race, if they have any left. It's worked out well for Alan as well, that was beginning to struggle. So Desso and Cassie G, that tyre advantage that they had by starting on the mediums has just gone out of the window, you feel, although Desso has moved his way up into third position. He started at the back of the grid. He's looking good for a podium.
Yeah, indeed. Luckily, I was a bit worried for Louis that the safety car, because usually sometimes the safety car comes into the Dunlop curve and meets you there, but luckily it didn't go fast enough to get there. So I think Louis just got himself very lucky there. I think he could just hold on to the lead there, but his advantage when obviously they catch up to the safety car is going to be wiped out. And I did say Louis didn't want that safety car to come out, and it did, and that's going to hurt him massively.
Yeah, that massive gap he'd got, about 11 seconds over Fairhan, just wiped out there. Droftas, interestingly enough, he mustn't have any more sets of the soft tyres because he's now on the medium, so he's going to find it very difficult to score points from there. And Pat and Jompalainen, who are way off the back of the field, Jompalainen was nearly a lap down. It's all worked out well for him. He's going to be back up into the action. It's going to be a very exciting final few laps. We'll have about 6 laps of racing left, as Louis, you can see there, is out now on his fresh soft tyres. He'll be a long way ahead as the safety car is just waiting underneath the bridge now for a few of these cars to catch them up. The order has changed quite dramatically though after that. Louis first, Fairhan second, Deso now in third, Cassidy fourth, Silent Ace fifth, and Paulie Orange and Koala after deciding to pit. Paulie Orange getting ahead of Koala. He's now in sixth. So Koala had that 5-second penalty, didn't he, for speeding in the pit lane, so that is why he's dropped down behind the Haas and behind the Williams of Westy.
Yeah, obviously a few people got caught out by the 5-second stop go penalty, and it's a shame for Koala really that the safety car didn't go out at an earlier time, but we'll have to wait and see, of course. But you never know, as the field starts to catch up, that is where some of these guys, they could be saving on lean fuel for pretty much most of the safety car stint, and some of them, they can have enough to run rich for most of the stint as well. For some of these, but obviously for some of there's quite a long lap, so it's going to be tough, but we'll have to wait and see, of course.
Yeah, they'll be able to go a bit more aggressive, as now Droftas, he's pitted again, so clearly the game did put him on medium tyres when he didn't want him to. That's only going to cost him one position in the end, but he is out on the soft. Infamous Pillars, he stayed out on those medium tyres for now. I think if he's got a spare set of softs, and he might not have because he's already made 2 stops in this race before the safety car came out, so if he has got a set of softs, I'd definitely suggest to him getting them on now, because you can still pick up a couple of points here. And he's indeed diving into the pits after this safety car, which was caused by the second addition to the Toro Rosso exclusive Degner car park, as we've seen Hibilu end up there earlier on, and Loney this time around causing a safety car. That gives Fairhan a chance possibly to get a win here that he would not have expected a few minutes ago.
Yeah, exactly as well. Look at Deso's positions as well. He started way down the field and he's now third as well. So I think he was probably praying to the safety car gods, as does a few people as well. So I wonder how they're going to take advantage of this. Is anyone... You know, it's going to be like turn one, lap one all over again. They can't just go for too many risks, but for some of these guys, podium is on the line here.
Yeah, definitely. And if they pick up any more penalties towards the end of the race, that could really have a big effect on the order. Let's not forget, safety cars quite often lead to other safety cars now that all the field is bunched up and really knowing they haven't got much time to make the most of it. What this safety car has done is meant that any worries about Deso and Cassidy's tyres not lasting towards the end gone completely out of the window, as they're third and fourth at the moment. And let's not forget Silent Ace, he had that issue with the AI in qualifying. He could still get a podium here, and that would be much needed for the Ferrari team, who found things very difficult this season.
Yeah, Ferrari not scoring many points this season due to unfortunate incidents and luck in the races, of course, and to be honest, I think he'll still be pretty disappointed about his incident in qualifying, but that's probably forced him to go on a different strategy that's probably worked out in his favour, almost certainly, to be honest. And even if you are racing and doing an alternate strategy, if you see safety car coming out just as you before you're going to pit, it'll definitely work wonders for you, so I think Silent Ace must be relieved.
Yeah, he must be very happy with how things are working out at the moment in 5th place. I think Fairhan will be glad that he pitted when he did, because he could have ended up losing a place or two to some of the others if he hadn't have done that. He came in just as the safety car came out on lap 20 out of 27 here, so safety car still staying out at the moment. They're pretty much all bunched up the field now. Jonathan Cox and those behind just a bit off, and Infamous Pillars a long way off, but they're going to have another lap at least to come out, and it's always exciting when we end up with a bit of a sprint race here, because unlike the start when they all know they've got plenty of time, after the safety car comes in they're only going to have 10 minutes to try and improve their fortunes, and it wouldn't surprise me if we see a few more cars spinning off.
Yeah, Louis almost hit the wall there, where he was weaving too much, but I guess he wants to get his heat into his tyres, as did a few people. Actually, it's almost everyone has caught up except the lap cars. So surely the safety car is going to come in this lap pretty much.
Yeah, and that will leave us with actually 6 laps of what I'm sure will be flat out racing here in FOR. Next week it will be Mexico. Then we've got America, Brazil and Abu Dhabi to finish off the season, and not long after that season 2 will be starting, and we'll also have a PC league, so more information you'll be able to find out about that on social media shortly. And Louis doing a bit of a Lewis Hamilton here, almost as if he's trying to tell the safety car to speed up.
Yeah, exactly, and Verham will probably be doing a Sebastian Vettel and trying to brake check him, so hopefully this is not a repeat of Baku. I can't remember what year it was. Do you remember what year it is?
2017. That's only because it was on YouTube the other week.
Yeah, so hopefully Verham doesn't turn into a Vettel as he just hit the grass almost, but yeah, I mean, what can Louis do in this situation? He's got to floor it like he's done in the previous starts. He's got to make sure that gap is pretty much, he doesn't want everyone to get DRS. Yeah, I think Louis is absolutely frustrated. He was like, go faster, whereas the others are probably wanting Louis to go faster. It looks like the safety car is going a bit slower in some parts of the circuit, so he needs to get a move on here, and Infamous is almost catching up to the back of this lot, so yeah, this could be game on for Infamous as well, as only 4 drivers will miss out on points today out of the finishers, so if any one of those guys make a mistake, Infamous could be back in this.
Let's not forget, Infamous's tyres are going to be right up to temperature as well, so that could be interesting for the restart. Let's hope it's a better restart than we saw in Singapore, where Ferhan nearly caught up to the safety car, because this game does like leaving it quite late to tell you that the safety car's coming in, and it's done the same again this time. So Louis got to leave plenty of time for that safety car to get far enough ahead. It needs to be into the pits before you can overtake it. The game will slow you down if you don't do so, and that could really compromise you. But where is he going to go for it? How far after the chicane, or even in the chicane, is he going to floor it? It looks like, yeah, at the exit of the chicane, he has gone for it. So Louis, we're ready to go racing here with 6 laps remaining, but Ferhan's got a pretty decent restart there. No DRS until lap 24 now, but Louis still in the lead. They've got a bit of a gap now of him and Ferhan over Desso and Cassie J. I'm not seeing any movement down the field. Aylin and Jonathan Cox so pretty close together. We've seen one McLaren and Racing Point collide earlier on, and this time Aylin just about stays ahead of Jonathan Cox, who is in 10th. I think Jon Palainen managed to get ahead of Droftas in that as well, so 12th and 13th for the Haas and the Mercedes respectively. But Louis, perfect restart from him now. He's got to try and build that gap up once again before the end of lap 23.
Verhan's already bringing up the gap quite hard on Desto. Desto's almost out of DRS. Have we got loads of yellow
big
flags?
Contact.
Ooh, that was, I think Pat was involved as well, and Infamous too. So that could have been worse, but I think, how on earth did one of those guys hit the wall and not avoid contact? Pat is out of the race now. That's another retirement. And I was surprised there's no another safety car, but I'm hoping not, because I want some actual racing. But yeah, we're now down to 13 drivers, and it's a shame that a few drivers got caught in that, but that's allowing some people to jump up, like Palainen up into 10th now.
Yeah, I think it was something between Jonathan Cox and Aylin, because they both dropped back, and it looks to me as though Jonathan Cox has slowed down to let Aylin back by. So if that's the case, that's both McLarens he's been involved in some contact with now. As you can see, straight away he's going for the position back though. He's only for 11th and 12th. No points for these guys, it looks like, unless we see some more accidents up out front. But you see Jonathan Cox, he's just tapped the back of Aylin there. Hopefully not damaged his front wing. He'd ran out of deployment as well for a bit, so that's going to slow him down. Is he going to be able to have a go on the McLaren? No, thinks better of it this time around. Up out front though, Louis got that gap over a second. He's pushing really hard over the grass there. Ferhan still in second. Desso is third for now. He's escaped from Cassie G, so these guys on the podium looking pretty good at the moment. Cassie G fourth, Silent Ace fifth, Paulie Orange sixth, Westy seventh, second and third in the championship, running 6th and 7th, but in the opposite order at the moment. Can Westy get ahead of one of his main title rivals? Koala is 8th, Drofast Droftas and Jompalainen rounding out the points at the moment.
Yep, indeed, and you can see Verhan is pushing to make sure he can stay in this DRS train going into the Casio Triangle at the moment, and you can see Louis is doing pushing as well, already out of DRS range, but now not in DRS range. It's like a topsy-turvy moment at the moment, as Louis wants to get out of it, whereas Verhan wants to stay in it. At the moment, we'll see as we go through the detection point if Verhan is going to get enough on the start-finish straight, as DRS is enabled then, so the detection zone won't happen until the end of the lap. So Louis, he's got a bit of breathing space.
Yeah, Verhan's getting a bit of breathing space over Desso as well. What is really close out on track at the moment is this battle. We've got the Ferrari engine in the back of the Ferrari, and we've got another one in the Haas behind him. 5th and 6th at the moment, Silent Ace and Paulie Orange. Every point could be crucial here in the championship. If it finishes as it is now, so check the final lap, the fastest lap, it is Louis who has got that again. So Paulie Orange has 8 points and Westy 6 points. Westy would close to within 15 points of Josh, and Paulie Orange would in fact be 3 points behind. The Silent Ace runs a bit wide there, but gets away with it. Don't want to be doing that too many times at this late stage in the race and picking up a 3-second penalty, because with how bunched up the field is, that could really be costly in the final stages. Jonathan Cox did manage to get ahead of Aylan, and Infamous Pillars has also found his way ahead as well. Jompalainen in the other Haas, he's all over the back of Droftas. We haven't seen many overtakes after the safety car has come in, but I think that could change now that they're going to have a chance to use DRS 3 more times in this race.
Yeah, a few more laps to do it, of course. I think Paulie Orange is getting a good run towards Silent Ace, towards 130R as well. This could work wonders, that Paulie Orange could gain quite a bit on Westy in the championship, even if it's just by a little bit as well. Silent Ace also on the back of Cassie G. This is going to be quite a bit of a DRS train, and yes, Verhan did not get DRS on Louis. 1.6 seconds. Louis did what he needed to do, and it's probably going to be an easy fight for him now, but let's watch the battle for potential 4th place in this race. It's going to be really tough for Paulie Orange just to get past these lot, but judging by the way he's driving, Paulie Orange is definitely faster.
Yeah, he's looked pretty good. I'd said before that safety car period, he was looking pretty good for a podium, but in 6th at the moment, can he make his way up anymore? He's going to have to be creative, because Silent Ace is also going to have DRS, as Paulie Orange really cuts over the curb there at the first Degner. That's definitely going to be a warning. I'd be surprised if it's not, but he's in 6th at the moment. Verhan not having DRS ahead of Desso could make it interesting between these. They've got clear of that battle for 4th place, and they're just in their own race now for the final 2 and a bit laps. Desso, the only race he's finished so far this season, he managed to get in 2nd place. Is he going to repeat that feat tonight? He's only going to have 2 and a bit laps to change anything.
Yeah, and it's not a lot at all. It could be that P2 may be lost for him, and we may see a few upsets, to be honest with you, that we probably weren't expecting, and it could cost some huge points from Verhan, of course. So as Verhan, I think, has lost a bit of time there, that's going to allow Desso to have a huge run into the start-finish straight. Verhan trying to take the shortest line possible to defend from Desso. I think it may not be enough. Desso going to try on the inside, but I think he's going to concede P3 for now, but I think it's going to be ever so close in the penultimate lap, as he only got a few more chances to get past Mercedes.
Yeah, someone who has managed to make an overtake though. Silent Ace up into 4th place, getting ahead of Cassie G. Jompalainen also getting past Droftas. I noticed Desso was running a bit low on ERS at that point in that lap, so wasn't able to have full deployment down the straight, and that could maybe have cost him his best chance of getting up ahead of Verhan at the moment. Not long to go, so here we go. Battle for 4th place. Silent Ace is now ahead. Can he pull away from Cassie G? Because let's not forget the Williams will have DRS this time around. Paulie Orange looks to have dropped a bit further back. Koala on the back of these as well. You've got 5 cars separated by just 2 seconds. There's plenty of battling going on out on track. It's only Louis in 1st and Aylan in last, who haven't got a car near them at the moment, so we can be pretty sure on where these guys are going to finish. As Louis now, he heads towards 130R. Is Desso able to stay closer to Verhan through the 130R and through the final corner as well, because he got stuck in the dirty air last time and lost a bit of time to Verhan And again, Desso not really got too much ERS if he wants to attack, but Furhan hasn't got a lot to defend, so we'll have to see. It looks about a similar situation to the last time as they go on to the final lap here, and I think Desso is going to be too far back as Westy, he's been passed by Koala as he was trying to attack Paulie Orange. Paulie Orange, they've all got the DRS open here. Red Bull and Haas side by side. Who's going to come out ahead? Campamango not really helping us there. It's Koala who is in 6th. Paulie Orange is now in 7th. It looks as though he's going to be attacking to move up the field, and he has dropped back. Koala gaining 2 places near the end of that lap.
Yeah, Koala, what an amazing feat at the moment. I mean, he wants to take a risk, and he took a good risk there, and he avoided other people's mistakes, and he's going to have another good result for the Red Bull driver in 6th place. But meanwhile, it looks like Desso is still fighting every bean on Furhan at the moment, and Louis must be loving this right now, as Louis is looking on course to take his 2nd victory in a row, and he could get a maximum of 26 points yet again.
Yeah, I'm sure we're pretty happy with how his race has gone in the post-race interviews. I think we're pretty certain who's going to be in them, but which order is it going to be between Furhan and Desso? Furhan again, he's looking pretty good at the moment, because I don't think Desso, he's run out of ERS deployment, so that could well end this battle. The Racing Point not able to have a lunge of a chicane. The Mercedes has gone deep, but I think he'll get away with it. Louis doesn't have to worry about that though. He takes the victory here in round 17. It's Furhan crossing the line 2nd. Louis had a penalty in the end, so he's won by less than a second. Furhan 2nd, Desso 3rd. Silent Ace crossed the line 4th, drops down to 6th. So it's Cassie G, Koala, Silent Ace, Paulie Orange, Westy, Jompalainen and Droftas, the point scorers. But in the end, another great performance by Louis, and I think he'll be pretty happy that Furhan was having to concentrate on defending from Desso there, because with that penalty, he's won by 0.9 of a second.
I wonder where he got that penalty. So I did not see it pop up on my screen. That was, again, another weird situation. He might have got it on the final lap. You never know. So that was close, because if Furhan was not defending, Furhan would have won that. But again, another victory for Louis. We'll again speak to him in the pre-race interviews, but I think the star of the show really as well has got to be the Racing Point driver. Up pretty much 14 places from his starting position. Amazing feat. He was struggling in qualifying, and I think he does well when he qualifies lower down the field, because he always seems to get good results that way.
Yeah, I think he had a tiny bit of luck with the safety car, I think, forcing a few of the others to pit, but you make your own luck sometimes, and he's definitely benefited and got another podium here. A great result for him in the Racing Point. But yeah, you see Louis, another lights to flag victory with a fastest lap. Furhan, another 2nd position. Desso 3rd. Cassie G in 4th. Koala 5th. Silent Ace, that penalty costing him 2 places there in 6th, but still a good recovery from 14th. Paulie Orange 7th. Westy in 8th. So they've both gained on Josh, but not by as much as they would have hoped. Jompalainen and Droftas, the final point scorers. Jonathan Cox had a bit of an incident-packed race there in 11th. Infamous Pillars 12th. Aylan 13th. Pat, Loney, Vexham and Hibilu were the retirements.
Yeah, a bit of a shame now. Unfortunately, Pat was hoping to have a good debut here tonight, but unfortunately the spin and the incident he had at that point cost him a little bit there. But yeah, what a great race actually. The safety car definitely changed.
Yeah, we're now going to try and get the top 3 drivers in that race. So Louis, Furhan and Desso, they'll all be happy with their race in the end. But there did seem to be quite a few incidents going on there.
Yeah, there were. I mean, I think there was quite more at the start and obviously in the safety car, but in the middle it's kind of like an in-betweeny phase at the moment. But yeah, it usually may need to be about the S section usually is where a few people have been caught in incidents, and obviously the Dagners, the Dunlop curbs as well, the quite common things as well. And yeah, again, thank goodness 130R is a little bit more stable, because otherwise there would be more incidents there as well.
Yeah, we saw obviously Jonathan Cox got involved in a few. We saw that big one at the end with him, Pat, and Alan. And Jonathan Cox and Pat also had a contact on the first lap. So I think that might have led to the retirements. And Toro Rosso drivers, I don't think they're going to want to see the Degner's corners anymore. Didn't go well for them there tonight. It turned out in the end Lewis Habilo, his battery actually ran out on his controller. So that's what sent him out of the race.
Yeah, what luck does it take for Habili to actually get points this season? I kind of wish he did in the future, but he was very unlucky there.
Yeah, he was unlucky indeed. I think we are getting now a few of the drivers starting to appear. We've got Ferhan and Louis, I believe, at the moment. So just waiting for Louis to connect probably. Hopefully we won't have any connection issues. So we've got the top two drivers. So we will start off the post-race interviews with the winner for the second week in a row. It is Louis, and after the safety car, that was probably a bit less comfy than it looked.
I was so annoyed when that safety car come out, man.
Thought so.
I had a penalty as well, so I had to push as hard as I could at the end to try and get out of Ferhan's DRS. If he had DRS, it was over, so I had to try and get the 1 second gap to stand a chance, and I managed to do it.
Yeah, you did that well. You were a bit annoyed at the safety car timing, but I suppose you were probably thinking about pitting around about the same time as you did anyway, because we had seen Deso and Cassie G already get rid of the mediums and move on to the softs.
Yeah, the mediums were dying under braking for the chicane. If once the tyres die, it's quite hard to slow down. Either like the back end kicks out, or you just go deep into the corner and lock up. So about the right time to cross over anyway.
Yeah, indeed. Don't know if you can remember, because you've driven so many laps since then, but back to Q2, when you went out for the softs, even though you were safely through, was that just to send a bit of a message to these guys that you want to be number one in every single session?
Just to get an eye and see what I could do in the actual thing. Sort of set myself up like they do in real life, really.
Yeah, and it worked. It worked fantastically. That is another win for you, another fastest lap, and it's really closed Red Bull up in the constructors. And having to settle for second once again is Ferhan. You tried everything to try and beat Louis, but in the end you were spending the last few laps of that race defending from Deso, and it must have been hard knowing that the Racing Point had the DRS.
Yeah. Louis was too fast in this race as usual, but yeah, P2 is good.
Yeah, another P2, that was good for you. Again, with the safety car, was that pretty good timing for yourself? Because I saw you actually headed into the pits exactly as the safety car came out, so you must have been pretty happy with that actually.
Yeah, I was really happy. Yeah, I love Loney.
Yeah, I think
Louis won.
Yeah, Louis won.
Yeah.
Do you think you might have a bit more chance next time around in Mexico? Is it a circuit you enjoy?
No, I'm very bad at Mexico.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see next week how it goes. So thanks to both of you guys for joining us. Unfortunately, Deso was unable to join us. Jess, have you got any questions to ask?
Well, I've just got to say, Ferhan, I think I've just got to speak about your Q2. It was so tense on making it. You only missed out by 2 thousandths. What was going through your mind in the final few minutes that you almost did not make it, and again you got P2 again in the race? Do you think you may carry on with that, or do you want to make sure you go safely through next time?
Oh, I carry on.
It's exciting for us to watch, to be fair.
Yeah, definitely.
Take the last sector, like Russia.
Yeah, and I think you're probably gonna want to keep that comfortably in Mexico, that's for sure. But yeah, well done to Louis as well for a comfortable win. Well, it wasn't as comfortable due to the penalties, but well done for getting a second win, and obviously closing up to Renault in the constructors. And can you see Red Bull claiming the title away from Renault, do you think, or is it going to be a tough call?
How many races are left? 3? 2?
Mexico, USA, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi, I think, isn't it, Luke?
Yeah,
Oh, was it the whole? Oh, okay, yeah.
I think a lot. Well, I think a lot depends on what's going to happen at the end of the season, because obviously we do have another F1 game coming out pretty soon, and that is another mental note for myself to pre-order it and try and find it cheap somewhere. Otherwise, I'm going to have a very hard job commentating on next season if I haven't got the game yet. But yeah, there could still be 4 races to go, but you have really closed the gap over the last few races. You were in 5th before Russia, and it's now less than 10 points, so it's very possible.
It's 3 points.
Yeah, 3 points. Koala seems to be in good form as well at the moment.
Yeah, he asked me every race to do slipstream, so that gets up the order a bit. Although it's quite hard. It's quite hard to actually do the slipstream here, because like we'd either go miles ahead and miss out on slipstream, or we'd go too close to each other and have to pull off halfway down the street.
Yeah, definitely. And Mexico, it should be pretty well, because I'm fairly sure there's a nice, massive, huge straight there for the pit straight that you can use to get the slipstream. So I think we'll be seeing a bit more slipstreaming from all teams possibly next time around.
Yeah, maybe. Have to see.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens there. So thanks again for Louis and Ferhan for joining us. I look forward to seeing you next time around.
Bye.
Yeah, Jess, definitely. Again, another fantastic race from these guys. I know we just said Mexico. A very good circuit for overtaking action, especially lap 1, turn 1. That's always exciting there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Mexico is a very long run into turn 1, and obviously it is quite tough when you get into turn 1 as well. And obviously Mexico is we've seen quite a few incidents, and obviously there's kind of less overtaking opportunities around there, but I think it makes it even more exciting. And since we don't know when the season is going to finish, every race between now and when the new game comes out is going to be absolutely crucial.
Yeah, definitely. Now that Josh, he'll be pretty happy, I think, tonight, despite being absent. The gap not closed as much as he would have perhaps thought at one stage, because Paulie Orange and Westy looked up until that safety car that they might finish a bit higher up, and Westy, he must be ruining that Q3 where obviously he had the incident with Wrexham and then a mistake on his final lap.
Yeah, I think Westy's got a lot of work to do now if he wants to try and close into Josh in these final few races, because if he messes up like he did again, then that's it, and he's out of championship contention, and that'll be Josh's title to gain, really. But imagine what Louis would have done if Louis joined midway through the season, but we will never know. But it's really down to potentially the top 3. Maybe Droftas could get a little bit of surprise there, but yeah, it's mainly down to the top 3 now in the Drivers' Championship. Let's just see if any of these guys could do well, and hopefully Paulie Orange could once again get some more points potentially. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll have to see, and where you can find out where all the action is happening, same time, same place next week for round 18 of the FOR Championship, the Mexican Grand Prix. Thanks to Jess for commentating alongside me again. Thanks also to our sponsors, Mixed Energy and Player One Coffee. You can check them out in the description below. And thanks also to all you guys for watching at home, and we hope to see you again next time around. Good night.